Following his father's advice, the man abandoned his wheelchair-bound wife alone in a remote town. When he returned a year later to claim his inheritance, he went pale at what he found. Anna and Robert lived a life that many envied. Annie, a successful businesswoman, was known for her determination and business acumen. She owned a chain of fashion boutiques that was rapidly expanding. Robert, her husband, worked in the management of these boutiques, complementing the perfect team they made together. One day, just like any other, Annie woke up early for an important meeting with potential investors. The sun was shining and the weather was pleasant, heralding a successful day. Annie, always punctual and organized, got into her car, a luxurious sedan she had recently acquired as a symbol of her success. As she drove down the highway, Annie mentally reviewed the key points of her presentation. The road was clear with no heavy traffic. However, in a moment of distraction, when Annie adjusted the radio to tune into her favorite station, she didn't notice a speeding truck coming from the opposite lane. The truck driver, exhausted from long hours on the road, had fallen asleep at the wheel. The vehicle veered off its lane, crossing the median and heading straight for Annie. In a desperate attempt to avoid a collision, Annie swerved sharply. Her car skidded, lost control, and flipped over several times before coming to a halt in the ditch. The sound of twisting metal and breaking glass filled the air. Annie was trapped inside the vehicle, feeling a sharp pain coursing through her. Barely conscious, her vision began to blur as the first witnesses arrived at the scene and called emergency services. Paramedics arrived quickly, carefully extracting Annie from the wreckage. She was rushed to the nearest hospital, where doctors fought to stabilize her. After several hours of surgery, the prognosis was grim. Annie had suffered severe spinal damage. The injury left her paralyzed from the waist down, condemning her to a life in a wheelchair. The news hit Robert like a bombshell as he anxiously waited in the hospital's waiting room. When the doctor informed him of Annie's condition, Robert felt his world crumble. The life they had built together, based on success and mobility, was falling apart before his eyes. As Annie regained consciousness, she had to face the devastating reality of her new condition. The woman who had once been strong and independent now depended entirely on others for her basic needs. The dynamic in her relationship with Robert changed drastically. Robert, unable to cope with the change and the weight of responsibility, began to distance himself emotionally. Anna, on the other hand, tried to remain optimistic. With the help of physical therapists and occupational therapy sessions, she tried to adapt to her new life. However, the strain on their marriage grew with each passing day. Robert, influenced by his father's pessimistic view of Annie's future, began to consider the idea of abandoning her to seize her inheritance. Anna's accident not only destroyed her ability to walk, but also exposed the hidden weaknesses in her relationship with Robert. The trial they faced was not just physical, but also emotional and moral, and the true character of both began to emerge in the days that followed. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Annie struggled to adapt to her new reality in a wheelchair, attending therapy sessions and learning to be as independent as possible. Meanwhile, Robert became increasingly distant, spending long hours away from home and avoiding deep conversations with Annie. The frustration and tension were palpable in their home. One day, after a particularly bitter argument about the future, Robert decided to visit his father, Don Ignacio, a retired businessman known for his coldness and pragmatism. Robert hoped to find comfort and advice from his father, but instead the conversation took an unexpected turn. Sitting in Don Ignacio's spacious and luxurious office, surrounded by reminders of his successful life, Robert confided in his father about his concerns and fears regarding Annie and their future together. Ignacio, who had never fully approved of Robert's marriage to Annie, saw this as an opportunity to influence his son's life once again. "Robert, you need to think about yourself and your future," Ignacio said in his usual dispassionate tone. "Anna is in a difficult situation, and honestly, I don't think you can handle it. Besides, with her condition, she won't be able to run her businesses like before." Robert, shocked by his father's harsh words, tried to defend Annie. "Dad, Annie is strong, she's trying to recover, and I should be there supporting her." Ignacio shook his head disapprovingly. The reality is that her recovery, if it happens at all, will be very limited. Meanwhile, her business and fortune are there, without a clear plan for the future. You could take control of that, securing your own future. Robert felt a knot in his stomach. What are you suggesting, Dad? Ignacio leaned forward, a calculating look in his eyes. What I'm suggesting is that you leave her in a place where she can get the care she needs, but far from here. There's a small town not too far away where no one will know you. Leave her there and make sure everything is legally arranged so you can take control of her businesses. Afterward, you could claim her inheritance. His father's proposal hit Robert like an avalanche. He knew what Ignacio was suggesting was not only morally questionable, but also deeply cruel. However, the constant pressure of caring for Annie, combined with the possibility of securing his financial future, began to cloud his judgment. Dad, that sounds horrible. I can't just abandon her, Robert said, though his words lacked the conviction he had hoped for. Think about it, Robert. It's not just for you. Annie will need care that you can't provide. Deep down, you know this is what's best for both of you, Ignacio insisted, his voice soft but persuasive. Robert left his father's house that night with a troubled mind and a heavy heart. Over the next few days, the idea of abandoning Annie began to take root more deeply in his mind. Arguments with Annie intensified, and every time he saw the pain and disappointment in her eyes, he became more convinced that perhaps his father was right. Finally, one day, after a particularly bitter argument, Robert made his decision. With a heavy heart and a mind full of doubts, he began to make the necessary arrangements. He contacted a small nursing home in the remote town his father had mentioned and discreetly arranged for Annie's transfer. The night before their departure, Robert could barely sleep. Images of Annie, confident and successful, mingled with those of her, vulnerable and broken. At dawn, he got up and prepared everything for the trip, the weight of his decision crushing him. Anna, still trusting in her husband, didn't suspect anything when Robert told her they were going on a trip for her well-being. When they arrived at the small town and Robert left her at the nursing home, the look of betrayal in Annie's eyes haunted him as he drove away. With Annie now abandoned, Robert returned to the city, trying to drown his guilt with work and his father's reassuring words. However, the emptiness in his heart and the growing distance between what his life once was and what it was becoming became increasingly evident. Anna watched Robert's car until it disappeared over the horizon. The feeling of betrayal and abandonment was overwhelming. She was in an unfamiliar place, surrounded by strangers, and the uncertainty about her future filled her with paralyzing fear. The facilities at the small nursing home were modest, and while the staff was kind, they couldn't replace the emotional support she so desperately needed. The first days in the town were extremely difficult for Annie. She felt isolated and desperate, struggling to accept her new reality. The days seemed endless and the nights lonely. Every corner of her small room in the nursing home reminded her of the loss of her old life and Robert's betrayal. The nursing home staff, noticing her distress, tried to cheer her up. One of the caregivers, Marta, a middle-aged woman with a heart of gold, dedicated herself to making Annie as comfortable as possible. However, the pain of being abandoned by her husband was something only time could heal. Rebecca, Annie's best friend, soon found out about the situation. Upon receiving the news, she didn't hesitate for a moment to drop everything and travel to the town to be with her friend. Rebecca knew that Annie needed support, and she was determined not to leave her alone in her most vulnerable moment. When Rebecca arrived at the nursing home, Annie was in her room, staring out the window with a lost look. Seeing her, Annie broke into tears, and the two friends embraced, sharing their pain and anguish. Rebecca promised that she would not leave Annie, and that together they would face this new reality. With Rebecca by her side, Annie began to find a glimmer of hope. Rebecca, always energetic and optimistic, encouraged her to go out and get to know the town. Although Annie still felt the weight of her condition and Robert's betrayal, Rebecca's presence helped her get through the days. One morning, Rebecca insisted that Annie accompany her to the local grocery store. At first, Annie resisted, feeling like a burden, but Rebecca wouldn't take no for an answer. "You need to get out of this room, Annie. You can't let this consume you. Come on, it'll just be a short outing," Rebecca said, smiling as she pushed Annie's wheelchair towards the door. The town's grocery store was small and cozy, with shelves filled with fresh and local products. Annie, though nervous, was grateful for the distraction. While Rebecca selected items, Annie explored the place, trying to feel useful in some way. Suddenly, a shopping cart accidentally bumped into her wheelchair. Annie looked up and found herself face to face with a handsome man, a look of surprise and apology on his face. "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you," the man said, visibly embarrassed. Anna, trying to downplay the incident, smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I'm fine." The man, relieved but still apologetic, introduced himself. "My name is Charles. Are you new in town? I haven't seen you before." Anna, with a mixture of sadness and hope in her eyes, replied, "Yes, I just arrived recently." Charles, noticing the melancholy in Annie's voice, felt a wave of empathy. "Well, if you need help or want to get to know the place, I'd be happy to show you around. It's a small but very welcoming town." Anna thanked him for the offer, and Rebecca, who had been watching the interaction, smiled knowingly. "I think it would be a good idea, Annie. Charles could show you the best spots in town." Charles and Annie exchanged phone numbers and agreed to meet the next day for a tour of the town. That night, for the first time in a long time, Annie felt a small spark of hope. Although her life had changed drastically, maybe this new beginning in an unexpected place could bring something positive. The morning sun filtered through the curtains of Annie's small room in the nursing home. Although the surroundings were modest, the warmth of the sunlight and the singing of birds outside gave her a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. Today, Annie felt a little more optimistic. The promise of a tour of the town with Charles filled her with a new sense of hope. Rebecca, always energetic and willing, arrived early to help Annie get ready for her day. "Today is a special day, Annie. We're going to make you feel amazing," Rebecca said as she helped Annie choose a comfortable yet pretty outfit. Annie appreciated her friend's attention, feeling more confident with her presence. At the agreed time, Charles arrived at the nursing home to pick up Annie. He dressed casually but elegantly, and his friendly smile immediately put Annie at ease. "Ready to explore?" Charles asked enthusiastically. "Yes, I think so," Annie replied, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. Charles gently pushed Annie's wheelchair as they walked through the town's streets. The tour began at the main square, a picturesque place surrounded by small shops and cozy cafes. Charles enthusiastically pointed out each spot, sharing stories and anecdotes about the town and its inhabitants. "This is Doña Clara's bakery. She makes the best cakes in the region," Charles said, pointing to a shop with a colorful facade. "And here we have the park, where children often play and families gather on weekends." Anna listened attentively, enjoying Charles's warm and familiar tone. As they strolled, she noticed how the town's residents greeted each other with smiles and friendly gestures. The atmosphere was welcoming, reminding her that despite everything, there was still kindness and community in the world. Finally, they arrived at the park. Charles and Annie sat on a bench under the shade of a large oak tree. "This is my favorite spot," Charles confessed. "It's a great place to think and reflect." Anna, touched by Charles's honesty, decided to share a bit of her own story. "I never imagined my life would change so much in such a short time. Just a few months ago, I was running my own company, and now I'm here trying to find a new path." Charles nodded, empathy in his eyes. "Life sometimes takes us down unexpected roads, but I also believe that every experience, no matter how difficult, offers us a chance to grow and find new ways to be happy." Anna smiled, appreciating Charles's words. "You're right. I'm starting to see that maybe this is a new beginning for me." After a while, Charles took Annie back to the nursing home. Before saying goodbye, Charles gave her a small gift, a book of poems that, according to him, had always brought him comfort. "I hope you find some peace in these words, Annie, and remember, I'm here to help you with whatever you need." Anna thanked him for the gesture, feeling touched by Charles's kindness. That night, as she read the book, she felt her heart beginning to heal, little by little. Rebecca, who had been watching Annie's progress with pride, knew her friend was on the right path to reclaiming her life. The following days were filled with small victories. With Rebecca's constant company and support, Annie began to participate more in town life. They visited Doña Clara's bakery, had coffee at the small cafe in the square, and strolled through the park. Annie, though still having difficult days, began to feel part of the community. One day, while they were at the park, Rebecca noticed that Annie seemed particularly thoughtful. "What are you thinking about, Annie?" she asked gently. "I was thinking about how lucky I am to have you, Rebecca. I don't know what I would have done without you here," Annie replied with a grateful smile. Rebecca took her hand. "Anna, we've been friends forever, and I'll always be here for you. No matter what happens, you'll never be alone." The bond between Annie and Rebecca grew stronger every day. Rebecca, with her boundless energy and constant support, became the pillar on which Annie could lean as she rebuilt her life. Together, they began making plans for the future, hopeful that this new chapter would bring many more opportunities and moments of happiness. The next day, Annie woke up with a sense of anticipation. The promise of a new day and the possibility of spending time with Charles gave her a spark of excitement she hadn't felt in a long time. Rebecca, noticing the change in her friend, encouraged her with a smile. "Today is going to be a good day for you, Annie. Enjoy it to the fullest." Charles arrived on time with contagious energy and a radiant smile. "Good morning, Annie. Ready for another adventure in town?" he asked as he gently pushed her wheelchair. "Yes, I'm ready," Annie replied, feeling that every outing with Charles gave her more strength. The morning passed peacefully but was filled with meaningful moments. Charles took her to the town's library, a quiet and cozy place where Annie discovered a vast collection of books. Together, they explored the shelves, sharing their favorite authors and genres. "Did you check out the book I gave you the other day?" Charles asked with interest. "Yes, I've read a few pages," Annie responded. Charles nodded, understanding. "Poetry has a special way of reaching the heart. I find it comforting too," he commented, making Annie smile slightly. After spending some time in the library, Charles took her to a small cafe in the main square. They sat at an outdoor table, enjoying the warm weather and watching people go by. Annie felt relaxed and at peace, a sensation she hadn't experienced in a long time. As they talked, Annie began to open up more about her life before the accident. She spoke about her company, how hard she had worked to get where she was, and the satisfaction of seeing her business grow. Charles listened attentively, offering words of support and understanding. "You've accomplished so much, Annie. Don't let this accident define your life. You're strong and have so much more to offer," Charles said with conviction. Anna was touched by his words. "Thank you, Charles. Your support means a lot to me." With each encounter, the connection between Annie and Charles deepened. Charles helped her see beyond her physical limitations, inspiring her to find new ways to be happy and contribute to the community. Annie began to participate more in town activities, attending events and meeting more people. One day, while they were walking through the park, Charles suggested an idea that would change the course of Annie's life. "Anna, you've talked a lot about your passion for helping others. Have you ever thought about starting something here in town? Maybe a project that could benefit many people?" Anna pondered. "I never considered it, but I like the idea. What kind of project do you have in mind?" Charles smiled, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "I've been thinking about a rehabilitation center. This town could really benefit from a place like that. And with your experience and leadership, I know you could make it happen." The idea resonated with Annie. A rehabilitation center would not only allow her to use her knowledge and skills, but also give her a renewed sense of purpose. "Charles, I love that idea. It would be an incredible way to give back to the community and help others going through similar situations to mine." Charles took Annie's hand, looking at her with admiration. "I know you can do it, Annie, and I'll be here to help you every step of the way." With Charles's support and the unwavering friendship of Rebecca, Annie began planning the rehabilitation center project. Together, they started researching and gathering the necessary resources. The town's community, moved by Annie's story and determination, also joined in to support the initiative. The idea of the rehabilitation center ignited a fire in Annie's heart. With Charles and Rebecca's constant support, she fully immersed herself in the project's planning. Her experience as a businesswoman gave her a significant advantage, and although she now faced a different challenge, her determination and organizational skills remained her strength. Anna and Charles began by researching other rehabilitation centers to better understand what they would need. They spent hours in the local library, searching through books and online articles, and contacting experts in the field. Charles, with his nursing background, brought valuable knowledge about the medical and therapeutic needs of patients. Rebecca, on the other hand, took charge of the legal and administrative aspects. She frequently visited the town hall to obtain the necessary permits and became a well-known and respected figure among local officials. Michael, the town's mayor, was particularly interested in the project and offered his full support. "This center will be a blessing for our community," Michael said during one of his meetings with Rebecca. "I'll do everything I can to ensure you have the town hall's support." With the mayor and community's backing, the project began to take shape. Annie and Charles found an old building on the outskirts of town that would be perfect for the center. With the help of town volunteers, they started renovating it, making it accessible and functional. The community rallied around the project with enthusiasm. People donated their time, skills, and resources. Local carpenters helped build ramps and adapt bathrooms, while others donated furniture and medical equipment. The town's solidarity and spirit of collaboration were a constant source of inspiration for Annie. "It's incredible to see how everyone is coming together for this cause," Annie said to Charles while overseeing the renovations. "It makes me feel like this is truly where I belong." Charles nodded, smiling with pride. "This center will not only help many people, Annie, but it's also giving you hope and purpose. I'm so happy to be part of this with you." As the renovations progressed, Annie also spent time planning the programs and services they would offer at the center. They made sure to include physical and occupational therapies, psychological support, and recreational activities to promote socialization and the emotional well-being of the patients. Finally, after months of hard work, the inauguration day arrived. The community gathered to celebrate the opening of the Hope Rehabilitation Center. Annie, Charles, and Rebecca were overwhelmed with emotion and pride as they cut the ribbon and welcomed the first visitors. During the opening ceremony, Annie gave a heartfelt speech, thanking everyone for their support and sharing her vision for the center. "This place is the result of everyone's love and collaboration. Together, we've created a space where people can find hope, healing, and a new chance at life. Thank you for believing in this dream." The community's response was overwhelming. Applause, tears, and smiles filled the air as Annie concluded her speech. Charles and Rebecca, standing by her side, couldn't have been more proud of their friend and the achievement they had reached together. The first day of operations at the center was a resounding success. Patients of all ages began arriving, some from nearby towns, seeking treatment and support. Annie and her team made sure that everyone who walked through the center's doors received a warm welcome and the care they needed. As the days, weeks, and months passed, the Hope Rehabilitation Center became a beacon of hope for the community. Annie, Charles, and Rebecca worked tirelessly to ensure that every patient had the best opportunities to regain their health and well-being. Days at the Hope Rehabilitation Center were filled with activity and progress. Annie devoted much of her time to managing the center and providing emotional support to the patients, but she also remained committed to her own physical rehabilitation. The daily sessions with the physical therapists were exhausting, but Annie was determined to regain as much mobility as possible. One morning, during one of her therapy sessions, something extraordinary happened. Annie was doing her usual exercises with her therapist, Javier, who patiently guided her through each movement. As Javier worked on her legs, Annie felt a slight tingling sensation in her right leg. Anna froze, almost holding her breath. "Wait a moment," she said, interrupting Javier. "I think I can feel something in my leg." Javier, surprised, stopped the exercise and began testing her sensitivity. "Anna, this is incredible. Can you feel this?" he asked, gently pressing different parts of her leg. Anna closed her eyes, focusing intensely. Yes, I can feel it. It's not very strong, but it's definitely there. Javier smiled, full of excitement. This is a significant breakthrough, Annie. We'll continue evaluating to see how you respond. News of Annie's sensation in her leg spread quickly through the center. Charles and Rebecca rushed over to congratulate her. Anna, this is fantastic, Rebecca exclaimed, hugging her enthusiastically. I knew you could do it. Charles, smiling with pride, took her hand. Anna, this is just the beginning. We'll keep working hard and see how far you can go. Motivated by this progress, Annie intensified her rehabilitation sessions. Each day was a challenge, but also an opportunity to push her limits and discover new possibilities. The sensation in her right leg grew stronger over time, and eventually she began to feel a slight tingling in her left leg as well. One day, during an especially intense session, Annie prepared to try a new exercise. Javier constantly encouraged her, his words filled with support and confidence. Anna, today we're going to try something different. I want you to focus and try to move your right leg without my help. Anna took a deep breath, filling herself with determination. She felt the sweat on her forehead and the tension in her muscles, but she wasn't going to give up. She closed her eyes, focusing on the connection between her mind and body. Slowly, she began sending signals to her right leg. At first, nothing happened. The room was silent, and she could feel Javier's attentive gaze. But then, a small movement. Her right leg moved just a few centimeters. Annie opened her eyes, incredulous and excited. I did it! I moved it! Tears of joy streamed down her face as Javier looked at her with pride. You did it, Annie. This is a huge step forward. I'm so proud of you. Charles, who was present in the session, couldn't contain his excitement. Anna, this is amazing. I'm so proud of you, he said, hugging her tightly. I knew you could do it. Anna's progress became a source of inspiration for everyone at the center. The patients saw in her an example of what could be achieved with perseverance and support. Annie, for her part, felt more motivated than ever to keep going and help others reach their own rehabilitation goals. In addition to her therapy sessions, Annie also dedicated time to her emotional and mental well-being. She spent time meditating, reading, and enjoying the company of Charles and Rebecca. These activities not only provided her with comfort, but also gave her the strength needed to face daily challenges. Meanwhile, the relationship between Annie and Charles continued to grow. What started as a friendship based on empathy and mutual support was slowly turning into something deeper. They both enjoyed each other's company and shared dreams and hopes for the future. One night, after a long day at the center, Charles invited Annie for a walk in the park. The moon shone brightly, and the stars dotted the dark sky. They sat on their favorite bench under the big oak tree, enjoying the quiet of the night. Charles, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, Annie said, looking at the stars. I don't know where I'd be without your support. Charles smiled, taking her hand. Anna, it's been an honor to stand by your side and watch you grow and overcome so many obstacles. You're an incredible woman, and I'm grateful to be a part of your life. Anna felt a warmth in her heart as she looked at Charles. In that moment, she realized how much he meant to her. Charles, I love you, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Charles looked into her eyes, his heart pounding. Anna, I love you too. From the first moment I saw you, I knew there was something special about you. They embraced under the moonlight, feeling that despite all the challenges and difficulties, they had found something beautiful and lasting. Together, they knew they could face anything life threw at them. Meanwhile, the Hope Rehabilitation Center continued to grow and thrive. Annie, Charles, and Rebecca worked tirelessly to ensure that every patient received the best possible care. The town's community continued to support them, and the center became a symbol of hope and overcoming obstacles. One day, while Annie was in her office reviewing some documents, she received an unexpected call. It was a representative from a major foundation who had heard about the center and was interested in offering financial support to expand its services. Ms. Annie, we're impressed with the work you've done at the Hope Rehabilitation Center. We'd like to offer a significant donation to help expand your programs and services, the representative said. Anna was speechless for a moment, feeling a wave of gratitude and emotion. That would be incredible. We're so grateful for your support. This will allow us to help even more people in our community. With this new opportunity, Annie, Charles, and Rebecca began planning the expansion of the center. They worked on new programs, hired more staff, and improved the facilities. The center not only grew in size but also in impact, transforming many lives. The Hope Rehabilitation Center was in full expansion thanks to the generous donation from the foundation. With the new resources, Annie, Charles, and Rebecca were able to implement innovative programs and hire more specialized staff, which allowed for even better care for the patients. Anna continued to progress in her rehabilitation. Each day, her steps became steadier and her confidence grew. The center's community, inspired by her perseverance, also pushed themselves harder in their own rehabilitations. The atmosphere was filled with pure motivation and hope. One morning, during one of her physiotherapy sessions, Javier suggested a new exercise. Anna, today we're going to try walking without the parallel bars. We'll use a walker to give you a bit more freedom. Are you ready? Anna nodded with determination. I'm ready, Javier. Let's do it. With the walker in front of her and Javier's support by her side, Annie prepared to take her first steps without the parallel bars. She took a deep breath and began to move her right leg forward. The feeling of freedom was incredible, although the physical effort was immense. Then she moved her left leg, focusing on each movement. People at the center noticed what was happening and gathered to watch, cheering her on with words of encouragement. Charles and Rebecca, always by her side, watched with pride and emotion. "Come on, Annie, you can do it," Rebecca shouted, her eyes filled with tears of joy. Anna continued taking steps, feeling her body respond to her efforts. Each step was a victory, each movement a testament to her incredible willpower. At the end of the path, she stopped, sweaty but radiant. "I did it," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with joy. "I really did it." Charles ran to her, hugging her tightly. "Anna, you're amazing. There's no limit to what you can achieve." The emotion in the room was palpable. The patients and staff at the center applauded and cheered, celebrating Annie's incredible achievement. This moment of triumph marked not only a milestone in her recovery, but also inspired everyone present to keep striving for their own dreams and goals. Over time, Annie began using the walker more frequently, until she finally felt confident enough to take a few steps without any assistance. Each advance filled her with deep satisfaction and strengthened her spirit. In addition to her physical progress, Annie remained dedicated to the emotional well-being of the center's patients. She organized group therapy sessions where patients could share their experiences and support each other. These sessions became an essential part of the healing process, fostering a strong sense of community and solidarity. The Hope Rehabilitation Center had become a cornerstone of the community, and with the Foundation's generous donation, Annie, Charles, and Rebecca were ready to take it to the next level. The expansion of the center meant not just more space, but also the opportunity to offer new programs and services that would benefit even more people. The planning for the expansion began immediately. Annie, Charles, and Rebecca met daily to discuss the project's details. They decided that one of the priorities would be to create a wing dedicated to children's rehabilitation, something they had not been able to offer before. "There are so many children who need our help," Annie explained during one of the meetings. "With this new wing, we can provide them with the support and care they need to grow and develop healthily." Charles, always attentive to medical details, added, "We could also implement aquatic therapy programs. I've read that it's very beneficial for the rehabilitation of many physical conditions." Rebecca, in charge of logistics and permits, agreed. "We can talk to the city council about the possibility of building a therapeutic pool. Michael already told me he's willing to help us with whatever we need." With a clear plan in mind, they began working on the designs and obtaining the necessary permits. Michael, the mayor, was an invaluable ally, facilitating the bureaucratic process and ensuring that the community was informed about the project's progress. Meanwhile, the construction team began working on the expansion. The days at the center were a mix of hammering and drilling sounds, but also of excitement and hope. Each brick laid was another step towards a better future for all the patients. Anna involved herself in every aspect of the project. She supervised the construction, talked to the workers, and made sure everything was in order. Despite the exhaustion, her enthusiasm never waned. She knew this new project would change many lives. Charles was also busy, researching and contacting experts in aquatic therapy to ensure the new program would be the best it could be. Anna, I found a specialist in aquatic therapy who's willing to come and train our staff. It will be a great addition to our team. Anna smiled, grateful. That's fantastic, Charles. With their help, we can offer top-quality therapy. Rebecca, for her part, worked on promoting the center. She organized community events and fundraising campaigns to make sure everyone knew about the new project. The community's response has been incredible, she commented one day. Everyone wants to help in some way. Finally, the day of the new wing's inauguration arrived. The community gathered to celebrate this achievement, and the excitement in the air was palpable. The new space was beautiful and functional, equipped with everything necessary to provide quality care to the patients. Anna gave an emotional speech during the opening ceremony. Today we celebrate not only the expansion of our center, but also the spirit of community and collaboration that made this possible. Thank you all for your support and commitment. Together we are creating a better future for everyone. Charles, Rebecca, and Michael also spoke, thanking the community and expressing their excitement for the new programs and services. The inauguration was a resounding success, and the center soon began receiving new patients. With the new wing up and running, the center became a place of hope and healing for even more people. The children's rehabilitation and aquatic therapy programs were especially popular, and patients and their families were grateful for the opportunity to receive such specialized and compassionate care. Anna, though always busy, took a moment to reflect on all they had accomplished. Sitting in her office, she looked out the window at the bustling center and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had come a long way since she arrived in town, and each challenge overcome had made her stronger. Charles walked into the office, smiling. Anna, everyone is thrilled with the new facilities. We've received so many thank yous today. Anna stood up and hugged him. Charles, this is just the beginning. We have so much more to do, and I'm excited to see what we can achieve together. The expansion of the center was a resounding success, and each new day, Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael worked tirelessly to ensure that the Hope Rehabilitation Center continued to be a beacon of light and hope for all. With the new wing of the Hope Rehabilitation Center fully operational, the team faced a series of new challenges. The demand for the center's services was increasing, and it was essential to ensure that all patients received the quality care they deserved. To achieve this, Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael knew they needed to work together more closely than ever. One of the first priorities was to hire and train new staff members. Annie and Charles took charge of the selection process, looking for people with the same passion and dedication as themselves. After several interviews, they managed to form a diverse and talented team of physiotherapists, nurses, and support staff. One morning, Annie called a team meeting in the new conference room. I want to welcome everyone and thank you for joining our team, Annie said, smiling at the new employees. We're here to make a difference in our patients' lives, and I'm excited to see what we'll achieve together. Charles stood up, adding, collaboration and teamwork will be key to our success. Each of you brings something unique, and together we can overcome any challenge. The meeting continued with introductions and discussions about the new programs and services. Annie and Charles emphasized the importance of open communication and mutual support. They wanted to ensure that every team member felt valued and supported. As the days passed, the new team began to integrate and work in harmony. The aquatic therapy sessions became particularly popular, and patients showed significant improvements in their mobility and overall well-being. The children attending the pediatric rehabilitation wing filled the center with laughter and positive energy. Rebecca, always attentive to details, organized ongoing training workshops for the staff. She invited experts in various areas of rehabilitation to share their knowledge and techniques. "It's important that we all stay updated with the best practices," Rebecca said during one of the workshops. "This way, we can offer the best care possible to our patients." Michael, the mayor, continued to be a constant support. He helped coordinate community events and fundraisers to ensure the center had the necessary resources. "This center is a pride of our community," Michael said in a meeting with local leaders, "and we all need to do our part to support its growth." One day, as Annie was reviewing some documents in her office, Charles walked in with an enthusiastic expression. "Anna, we've just received an invitation to present our work at a national rehabilitation conference. They want us to share our experience and the results we've achieved." Anna felt a surge of excitement. "That's incredible, Charles. It's a wonderful opportunity to showcase the impact of our work and learn from other professionals in the field." Preparing for the conference became a priority. Annie, Charles, and Rebecca worked together to create a presentation that highlighted the center's achievements and the inspiring stories of its patients. They gathered data, testimonials, and case studies that demonstrated the effectiveness of their programs. On the day of the conference, the team traveled to the city, excited about the opportunity to share their work with a wider audience. Annie took the stage feeling a mix of nerves and pride. She began her presentation by talking about the vision and beginnings of the Hope Rehabilitation Center. "A few years ago, I came to this small town in a desperate situation," Annie said, looking at the audience. "I never imagined that, with the support of an incredible community and a dedicated team, we could create something so meaningful. This center is a testament to the power of teamwork and perseverance." Charles and Rebecca presented the specific programs and the results achieved, while Michael spoke about the positive impact on the community. The audience responded with applause and questions, showing great interest in replicating the center's model in other regions. After the conference, Annie and her team received many congratulations and collaboration proposals. It was a moment of validation and motivation to keep moving forward with their mission. "This is just the beginning," Charles said as they returned to the town. "There are so many more people we can help." Back at the center, the team continued working with the same dedication and passion. Every day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to grow and learn. Collaboration and team spirit became the driving force behind every success. The success of the Hope Rehabilitation Center was not only reflected in the stories of recovery and healing of its patients, but also in the personal and professional relationships that were forged within its walls. Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael found themselves more united than ever, working tirelessly to ensure the center continued to thrive. One afternoon, after a particularly intense day of work, Annie and Charles found themselves in the center's garden, enjoying a moment of tranquility. The flowers that the patients had planted were a constant reminder of growth and hope. "Anna, I've been thinking," Charles said, breaking the silence. "We've accomplished so much here, but I feel like we could do even more. What do you think about the idea of creating a support program for our patients' families? We could offer workshops and family therapy sessions." Anna looked at him, feeling a surge of admiration for his vision and dedication. "I love the idea, Charles. Families play a crucial role in the recovery process. If we can help them understand and better support their loved ones, I think it will have a huge positive impact." With Annie's approval, Charles and Rebecca began planning the new family support program. They worked on designing workshops that would cover topics such as effective communication, stress management, and strategies for supporting rehabilitation at home. They also reached out to family therapists to join the team and offer their expertise. Meanwhile, Michael continued working closely with Rebecca on the center's logistics and funding. Their relationship, which had started as a professional collaboration, had blossomed into a deep friendship. They spent a lot of time together, sharing ideas and supporting each other in their roles. One day, Michael invited Rebecca to dinner at his house. "I think we deserve a break and a good meal after all the work we've done," he said with a smile. Rebecca eagerly accepted. The dinner was a delightful experience, filled with laughter and heartfelt conversations. Rebecca realized how much she appreciated Michael, not just as a colleague but as a friend. Their bond grew stronger with each shared moment. Meanwhile, at the center, the new programs continued to take shape. Annie and Charles worked together on implementing the family therapy sessions. During one of the first sessions, a mother and her young son, who had been attending the Center for Rehabilitation, shared their experience. "Before coming here, I didn't know how to handle the situation," the mother confessed with tears in her eyes. "But thanks to this program, I've learned to communicate better with my son and support him in his recovery. We're closer than ever." Anna and Charles exchanged a look, feeling deeply moved by the mother's words. It was a reminder of the positive impact they were having on people's lives. "We're making a real difference, Annie," Charles said softly, "and that's what matters." The relationship between Annie and Charles continued to blossom. Though both were busy with their responsibilities, they always found time to be together, sharing their dreams and supporting each other. Their love grew stronger with each challenge overcome and each success celebrated. Rebecca and Michael were also in a stage of personal growth. Their friendship deepened and stronger feelings began to emerge between them. However, they both decided to take things slowly, enjoying the process of getting to know each other better and appreciating the connection they had built. One afternoon, as Michael and Rebecca strolled through the town park, Michael stopped and looked into her eyes. "Rebecca, since I met you, you've been a constant source of support and inspiration for me. I don't know what I would do without you." Rebecca smiled, feeling the same way. "Michael, you've been incredible too. We've been through so much together, and I'm grateful for every moment." They hugged, feeling their relationship strengthen with each passing day. They knew that together, they could face any challenge and continue to support the growth of the Hope Rehabilitation Center. Over time, the center continued to thrive, the patients continued to show significant improvements, and the community continued to support the team's work. Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael worked tirelessly, knowing that their efforts were changing lives. The Hope Rehabilitation Center had become a beacon of hope for the community and beyond. The stories of recovery and overcoming obstacles resonated throughout the town, and each day brought new challenges and opportunities to continue growing and helping more people. One morning, as Annie was reviewing some reports in her office, she received an urgent call. It was Javier, one of the physiotherapists, informing her that a new patient had arrived with a particularly delicate situation. "Anna, we have a new case that needs our immediate attention. It's a 17-year-old boy who had a motorcycle accident. He has severe spinal injuries, and the doctors say his chances of recovery are very limited," Javier explained with concern in his voice. Anna felt a knot in her stomach, but also a renewed determination. "Javier will do everything we can for him. Arrange a meeting with the team so we can plan his treatment." The young man named Luis arrived at the center, accompanied by his visibly distressed mother. Annie approached them with a reassuring smile. "Hello, Luis, I'm Annie, and we're here to help you in your recovery. I know this can be difficult, but we're with you every step of the way." Luis, though scared and in pain, nodded with a spark of hope in his eyes. "Thank you, Annie. I'm willing to try everything." The center's team, led by Annie and Javier, designed an intensive treatment plan for Luis. It included daily physiotherapy sessions, aquatic therapy, and emotional support. Charles ensured that all of Luis's medical needs were met, while Rebecca coordinated with Luis's mother to provide her with support and resources. As the weeks went by, Luis showed remarkable resilience and determination. Though progress was slow, every small step forward was celebrated as a great victory. The center's community, inspired by Luis's bravery, came together to support him on his journey. One day during an aquatic therapy session, Luis managed to slightly move his right leg for the first time. The group around him burst into applause and tears of joy. Annie, who had been watching from the edge of the pool, couldn't hold back her tears. "Luis, this is incredible. You're making wonderful progress." Annie said, her voice filled with emotion. Louise, exhausted but radiant, smiled. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Louise's case was not only a testament to the power of perseverance and teamwork, but also a reminder of the transformative impact the center was having on people's lives. Every success story strengthened Annie and her team's determination to keep moving forward. Meanwhile, the family support program that Charles and Rebecca had implemented continued to grow. The patients' families greatly benefited from the workshops and therapy sessions, and the center's community became stronger and more united. One day, as Rebecca was coordinating a workshop, Michael approached with a proposal. Rebecca, I've been thinking about how we can further expand our reach. How would you feel about organizing a community health fair? We could offer free services, educational workshops, and activities for the whole family. Rebecca, always enthusiastic about new ideas, nodded with excitement. I think it's a fantastic idea, Michael. It will be a great way to connect with more people and offer them the resources they need. The planning for the health fair began immediately. Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael worked tirelessly to coordinate all the details. They invited health experts, therapists, and local organizations to participate and offer their services. On the day of the fair, the center was filled with life and activity. There were information booths, exercise demonstrations, nutrition workshops, and games for the children. The community responded with enthusiasm, grateful for the opportunity to learn and access quality health services. As Annie walked through the booths, she felt deeply moved by the spirit of collaboration and solidarity that permeated the event. This is what I always dreamed of for the Hope Rehabilitation Center, she thought, a place where the community can come together and support each other. Charles, who was giving a physical therapy demonstration, approached Annie with a smile. Anna, this is a total success. Look at all these people, we're really making a difference. Anna nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Yes, Charles. We're doing something wonderful here, and we couldn't have achieved it without the teamwork and support of everyone. The health fair was a resounding success and left a lasting impression on the community. Many attendees expressed their gratitude and asked for similar events to be organized in the future. The Hope Rehabilitation Center continued to thrive, and Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael found themselves at a stage in their lives where everything seemed to be going smoothly. However, Annie's past was about to resurface and test her emotional strength and determination. One afternoon, as Annie was reviewing some reports in her office, she received an unexpected call. It was Robert's lawyer, informing her that Robert and his father had decided to return to town to discuss legal matters related to her inheritance. Anna, Robert, and their father want to meet with you to discuss the inheritance, the lawyer said seriously. They insist that it's necessary to clarify a few points. Anna felt a mix of surprise and concern. She knew this moment might come, but she wasn't prepared to face it yet. Taking a deep breath, she decided she had to confront the situation with the same strength and determination she had shown in her recovery. All right, tell them we can meet tomorrow at the center, Annie replied, trying to stay calm. The next day, Robert and his father arrived at the Hope Rehabilitation Center. Annie welcomed them in the conference room, accompanied by Charles, Rebecca, and Michael. The tension in the room was palpable as everyone sat around the table. Robert, visibly nervous, was the first to speak. Anna, thank you for seeing us. I know we've been distant and there's much to discuss. We're here because we believe it's time to resolve the issues regarding the inheritance and your properties. Robert's father, with a cold and calculated expression, added, We want to ensure everything is in order so we can claim what's rightfully ours. Anna looked at them intently. And who the hell do you think you are to assume I'm going to give you my inheritance? Get a grip, she said, silencing the man. Filled with a surge of emotions, Robert's father stood up from his chair with a furious expression, but Annie remained seated and calm, controlling the situation. You have no idea what we've done for you. We deserve that inheritance, he shouted, slamming his fist on the table. However, Charles, who was with Annie, stood up, now face to face with the father. The two men stared each other down, a false move away from a physical confrontation. "Disrespect Annie again and I swear I'll break your face," Charles said seriously, his fist clenched at his side. "Try it, you little brat," the father retorted. But before they could start a fight, Robert pushed his father aside. "What the hell are you saying, you idiot? Don't you think what you're doing is enough? You forced me to leave Annie, and now you want to claim something that doesn't belong to us," Robert shouted, his face full of desperation. His father was in shock, not expecting his son to speak those words. With a firm and calm voice, Annie responded, "I understand that you want to discuss these matters, but I want to make something clear. The inheritance and properties are secondary to me. My priority has always been and always will be the well-being of the people this center helps." Charles, taking Annie's hand as a sign of support, added, "Anna has built something incredible here, something that has changed many lives. We won't let anything or anyone destroy that." Rebecca, always eloquent, addressed Robert and his father with a firm voice. "We understand that you want to resolve these legal issues, but you should know that Annie is not alone. We are here to support her and to ensure that justice is done." Michael, with his usual calm and authority, intervened. "As the mayor of this town, I can testify to the importance of this center for our community. Any attempt to destabilize it will not be tolerated." The confrontation continued with a tense exchange of words and legal arguments. Robert seemed to hesitate, but his father kept insisting on claiming what he believed was his. Finally, Annie stood up, looking directly at Robert. "Robert, I know you made mistakes and that your father influenced you, but I want you to know that I've found a new life here, a life full of purpose and hope. I won't let you destroy that. If you care about anything we once had, you'll understand that this center is my life now." Robert lowered his gaze, visibly affected by Annie's words. "Anna, I'm sorry, I really am. I didn't want things to come to this. If this center is so important to you, I don't want to be the reason for its downfall." Robert's father, frustrated, tried to intervene, but Robert stopped him. "Dad, this has gone too far. We can't continue this." Seeing the sincerity in Robert's eyes, Annie felt relieved. "Thank you, Robert. I hope you find your path and can do something positive with your life." With the situation resolved, Robert and his father left, leaving Annie and her team feeling a mix of relief and triumph. They knew they had faced a difficult test and emerged stronger. Charles, taking Annie's hand, whispered, "I'm proud of you, Annie. You showed incredible strength today." Anna, tears of relief in her eyes, smiled. "I couldn't have done it without all of you. We're a team, and that's what makes us strong." After the tense confrontation at the Hope Rehabilitation Center, Robert and his father returned to the city. Although they initially came with the intention of claiming Annie's inheritance, the encounter with her and her team had left Robert deeply affected. Annie's words echoed in his mind, and he began to reflect on his actions and the path he had taken. That night, in his apartment, Robert couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, reliving every moment of the argument. He realized that he had allowed greed and his father's influence to lead him to make decisions that were not only immoral, but also destructive to someone he once deeply loved. Finally, he got up and decided it was time to change his life. He knew he had to take responsibility for his actions and find a way to redeem himself. The next day, he made an important decision. He was going to seek help to change his path and do something positive with his life. Robert began attending therapy sessions to address the personal and emotional issues that had led him to make poor decisions. Slowly, he started to find clarity and purpose. He decided that he wanted to do something meaningful and help others, just as he had seen Annie do at the center. Meanwhile, at the Hope Rehabilitation Center, life went on. Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael worked tirelessly to continue improving and expanding the center's services. Every day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to grow and help more people. One day, Annie received a letter from Robert. She opened it with some apprehension, but as she read, her feelings of unease transformed into surprise and hope. "Dear Annie, I hope this letter finds you well. I want to sincerely apologize for all the pain and trouble I caused you. I've realized my mistakes and am committed to changing. I've started attending therapy and am working on becoming a better person. You inspire me deeply, and I've decided that I want to do something meaningful with my life. If you agree, I'd like to visit the center again, not to claim anything, but to offer my help in any way I can. I want to redeem myself and, if possible, be part of something positive. With all respect and gratitude, Robert, Anna reflected on the letter. She decided that everyone deserves a second chance, especially if they are genuinely remorseful and willing to change. She consulted with Charles, Rebecca, and Michael, who agreed to give Robert a chance to redeem himself. A few weeks later, Robert returned to the town. This time his attitude was completely different. He met with Annie and the team at the center, expressing his gratitude and desire to help. Annie, with a mix of caution and hope, welcomed him and assigned him some tasks he could handle. Robert began helping in the administrative areas and coordinating events. He worked diligently, showing a genuine change in his behavior. Slowly, he began to earn the trust of Annie and the team. Charles, initially skeptical, started to see Robert's effort and sincerity. One day, while organizing a community event, Charles approached Robert. "I know it hasn't been easy, and I know you've done things you can't undo, but I see you're trying to change. Thank you for your effort and for being here." Robert, with an expression of gratitude, replied, "Thank you, Charles. I'm determined to do things right and support Annie and this center in any way I can." The community event was a great success, and Robert's work was crucial to its organization. The community began to see him in a new light, appreciating his effort to redeem himself and contribute positively. Meanwhile, Annie and Charles continued their relationship, strengthening their bond and working together to face the challenges of the center. Rebecca and Michael also remained a constant support, helping in the planning and execution of new projects. The Hope Rehabilitation Center had found its rhythm, and the success stories continued to inspire everyone involved. However, a new challenge was about to arise, one that would test the unity and strength of the team. One morning, while Annie and Charles were reviewing some reports, Rebecca hurried into the office with a worried expression. "We have a serious problem," she said, handing them a document. "I just received this from the town hall. There's an anonymous complaint claiming that the center doesn't meet certain safety standards." Anna took the document and read it carefully. "How is this possible? We've complied with all the regulations. This doesn't make sense." Charles frowned. "This could be the work of someone trying to harm us. Who could be behind this?" Michael, who had been informed of the situation, arrived shortly after. "I spoke with some contacts at the town hall. It seems someone is trying to sabotage the center. We need to prove that we comply with all the regulations and that these accusations are unfounded." Anna, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael met to discuss a plan of action. They decided to conduct an internal audit to ensure everything was in order and prepare a detailed report to present to the town hall. Robert, upon learning of the situation, offered to help. "I know my past doesn't make me the ideal candidate, but I want to help. I can take care of reviewing the files and making sure all the documents are in order." Anna, still cautious, accepted his offer. "Thank you, Robert. Any help is welcome at this time." Over the following weeks, the team worked tirelessly. They reviewed every document, inspected every corner of the center, and ensured that all regulations were met. It was an exhaustive effort, but necessary to protect what they had built. Meanwhile, tensions were rising. The pressure of the situation began to affect everyone, and some disagreements arose. One day, during a particularly heated meeting, Rebecca raised her voice. "We can't afford to make mistakes. Everything has to be perfect." Charles, visibly tired, replied, "We're doing our best, Rebecca. We need to stay calm and work together." Anna, trying to mediate, intervened. "I understand we're all stressed, but we must remember that we're in this together. This center is our home, and we'll defend it with everything we have." The situation reached its peak when a surprise inspection from the town hall arrived at the center. The inspectors reviewed every aspect of the center with thoroughness. Annie and her team accompanied them. answering all questions and providing the necessary documentation. Robert, nervous but determined, presented the files he had reviewed. "Here's everything you need. We're fully compliant." After several hours of inspection, the inspectors met with Annie and the team. "We've reviewed everything carefully," one of the inspectors said, "and we can confirm that the Hope Rehabilitation Center complies with all safety and operational standards. The complaints were unfounded." The relief was palpable. Annie, with tears in her eyes, thanked the inspectors. "Thank you for your time and for clearing this up. This center means a lot to us and to the community." Charles, Rebecca, Michael, and Robert embraced, feeling a mix of relief and triumph. They had overcome a difficult test, and their unity and determination had prevailed. Later that night, the team gathered in the center's garden to celebrate. There was a sense of achievement and camaraderie in the air. Annie raised her glass and said, "Today we proved that together we're stronger. Thank you all for your incredible work and dedication. This center remains a beacon of hope thanks to each of you." Robert, moved, spoke up. "I want to thank you for giving me a second chance. I promise to keep working hard and to support this center in any way I can." The night continued with laughter and celebrations. The challenge they had faced had further strengthened their bonds and commitment to the center's mission. After the crisis and the inspection, life at the Hope Rehabilitation Center returned to its usual rhythm. However, Annie knew it was time to reflect on the future of the center and her own. The recent events had put into perspective the fragility of their work and the need to ensure its long-term sustainability. One day, Annie received an unexpected call from a major international rehabilitation organization. They were impressed by the success and impact of the Hope Rehabilitation Center and wanted to offer her an opportunity to join their team as a consultant and help replicate the center's model in other parts of the world. The offer was tempting and promised to open new doors, but it also meant that Annie would have to step away from the center and the community she had come to love. She was at a crossroads and needed time to consider her options. Anna decided to talk to her team about the offer. One afternoon, she gathered Charles, Rebecca, and Michael in the conference room. "I want to share something important with you. I've received an offer from an international organization that wants me to help them replicate our center's model in other places around the world." Charles, surprised, asked, "Does that mean you'd have to leave the center?" Anna nodded, a mix of excitement and concern in her eyes. "Yes, it would mean traveling and being away for extended periods, but it's also an incredible opportunity to expand our impact and help more people." Rebecca, always the voice of reason, intervened. "Anna, this is a great opportunity, but we also need to consider what it would mean for the center. We've worked hard to get here, and we don't want to lose our way." Michael, with his usual calm, added, "We could find a way to do both. Maybe you can take on the consultant role while we continue managing the center here. We can build a strong team that can handle the day-to-day operations in your absence." Anna smiled, feeling grateful for the support of her team. "That's a good idea, Michael. If we can find a way to make it work, we could expand our impact without sacrificing what we've built here." Over the next few weeks, Annie and her team worked on a detailed plan. They selected several staff members to take on leadership roles and provided additional training to ensure the center could operate smoothly during Annie's absences. Robert, who had demonstrated his commitment and skills, was appointed as administrative coordinator, earning everyone's trust. Anna also had an important conversation with Charles about their relationship. "Charles, this opportunity is important to me, but I don't want our relationship to suffer. Are you willing to support me in this?" Charles looked at her with love and determination. "Anna, I'll support you in any decision you make. I love you, and I want to see you happy and fulfilled. We can make this work, no matter the distance." With the plan in motion and the support of her team and partner, Annie accepted the offer from the international organization. They agreed that she would travel for specific periods and return to the center regularly to oversee and support her team. The day of her departure was emotional. The center's community gathered to send her off and wish her luck in her new adventure. "This is not a goodbye, but a see you later," Annie said, tears in her eyes. This center will always be my home, and I'll return to see how you all continue to grow and thrive. Anna began her new role with enthusiasm, traveling to different countries and helping to establish rehabilitation centers based on the model she had developed. Her work was highly valued, and she quickly became a respected figure in the field of global rehabilitation. During her travels, Annie stayed in constant contact with Charles and her team. Each return to the Hope Rehabilitation Center was a celebration, and seeing the center's continued progress filled her with pride and satisfaction. One day, while attending an international conference, Annie received an urgent call from Rebecca. "Anna, we have a situation here at the center. We need your help." Without hesitation, Annie took the first flight back. Upon arriving at the center, she found her team facing a medical crisis with one of the youngest patients. With her experience and leadership, Annie coordinated a quick and efficient response, resolving the situation and once again demonstrating the importance of her presence and guidance. The experience reinforced in Annie the importance of balancing her international commitments with her role at the center. She decided to adjust her schedule to spend more time at the Hope Rehabilitation Center, ensuring she could continue contributing significantly both locally and globally. The Hope Rehabilitation Center was at its best, with Annie balancing her international commitments and her role at the center, and with a dedicated and capable team, the future seemed brighter than ever. The community remained a pillar of support, and every day brought new stories of recovery and hope. A year after accepting the offer from the international organization, Annie decided to organize a grand celebration at the center to thank everyone for their support and to reflect on what they had achieved together. The preparation for the event was intense, but the enthusiasm and collaboration of everyone made everything go perfectly. On the day of the celebration, the center was decorated with flowers and lights, and a festive atmosphere filled the air. Patients, their families, staff, and community members gathered to celebrate. Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael stood at the front, ready to start the speeches. Anna took the microphone, her heart full of gratitude and emotion. "Today, we celebrate not only the achievements of this center, but also the spirit of community, love, and hope that made it possible. A few years ago, I came here in a desperate situation, but thanks to each of you, we've created something truly special." Applause filled the air, and Annie continued, "I want to thank my team, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael. Without your dedication and support, none of this would have been possible. I also want to thank Robert, who has shown that everyone deserves a second chance and that change is possible." Robert, emotional, received the applause with humility. "Thank you, Annie. This center has given me a new perspective on life and taught me the true value of helping others." Charles, taking Annie's hand, spoke passionately. "We've come a long way together, facing challenges and celebrating victories. I'm grateful for every moment and excited about what the future holds for us." Rebecca, always the organizer, smiled and added, "This center is a testament to the power of collaboration and perseverance. We've built something beautiful, and we'll keep working to make this world a better place." Michael, with his usual calm, closed the speeches. "As mayor, I've seen the positive impact this center has had on our community. I'm proud to support this mission and be part of this family." The celebration continued with music, food, and laughter. Patients shared their recovery stories, and families expressed their gratitude for the support and love they had found at the center. It was a night of reflection and looking to the future with hope and determination. That night, as Annie and Charles walked through the center's garden, Annie stopped and looked at the stars. "Charles, I never imagined we'd come this far. This center is more than a place of rehabilitation. It's a home, a family." Charles embraced her tenderly. "Anna, we've created something incredible here, and the best part is that we've done it together. I'm excited about everything the future holds for us." Anna smiled, feeling a deep peace and satisfaction. "Yes, together we can achieve anything." As the center continued to grow and thrive, Annie, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael found a balance between their personal and professional lives. Each of them continued to pursue their dreams and contribute to the well-being of others. Anna continued her work as an international consultant, helping to establish new rehabilitation centers worldwide. Each return to the Hope Rehabilitation Center was an opportunity to reconnect with her community and see the impact of her work. Charles, always by her side, supported Annie every step of the way. Together, they became a strong and dedicated couple, committed to making the world a better place. Rebecca and Michael also found balance in their lives. Their relationship grew stronger, and together they continued to work to support the center's growth and success. Their love and dedication were a constant source of inspiration for everyone. In the years that followed, the Hope Rehabilitation Center expanded and became a model for other rehabilitation centers worldwide. Annie's vision, supported by her team and community, became a reality in ways she had never imagined. Anna, Charles, Rebecca, and Michael remained united, their bonds strengthened by shared experiences and challenges overcome. Together, they proved that with love, dedication, and collaboration, any obstacle can be overcome, and any dream can become a reality. The legacy of the Hope Rehabilitation Center continued to grow, touching lives and providing hope to those who needed it most. And at the heart of it all was the community that made it possible, united by a common purpose and an unbreakable love. Over time, Annie retired from her active role, entrusting the center's leadership to a new generation of passionate and dedicated leaders. However, her spirit and vision endured, guiding the center toward a bright and hopeful future. In her home, surrounded by family and friends, Annie reflected on her journey and felt deeply grateful for every moment, every challenge, and every victory. She had found her purpose and made the world a better place. The story of Annie and the Hope Rehabilitation Center is a powerful testament to human resilience and the capacity for transformation through adversity. Throughout this narrative, we've witnessed how one person, surrounded by support and love, can overcome the most challenging obstacles and turn pain into purpose. This story also invites us to reflect on the impact we can have on others' lives. Every action, every gesture of support, and every decision to work together for a greater good can transform lives. Annie and her team show us that although the road may be difficult, the impact of our actions can reverberate far beyond what we imagine. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey at the Hope Rehabilitation Center. If Annie and her team's story has inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more inspiring content. Remember, together we can overcome any obstacle and build a future full of hope. See you in the next video.